Back in the 80s and 90s, princesses were getting kidnapped all too often. It was the done thing, a court fad, if you will. Apparently, this even applied to amorphous blobs, as we see in the Game Boy exclusive sequel to A Boy and His Blob for the NES. If you've played that game, the premise here is the same, a series of sometimes intuitive, sometimes quite abstract puzzles that revolve around feeding your pet blob certain flavours of jelly beans, which cause him to morph into various apparatuses. So yeah, same old storyline, but quite unique gameplay mechanics. The controls take a while to get used to. Your character, Boy, moves based on momentum, so speeds up as he goes along, sliding a little when coming to a stop. You cycle through the beans with Select and throw them to your buddy with A. Pressing B whistles for Blob to come back to you, which, if he's morphed, will cause him to return to his neutral state. There is a bit of a learning wall to get over, not just with the controls, but figuring out what all the beans do. The game doesn't tell you this until you use them, so it's beneficial to write all these down. For instance, the first one that you're shown is licorice, which turns Blob into a ladder. There's no intuitive way to remember that. You could use initials, of course, but then there are lime beans too, which make Blob into a key, like key lime. Cola makes a bubble. Tangerine makes a trampoline. Oh hell, I don't know, just write them down. I'm not going to go through them all because there are lots of funny and clever devices to solve puzzles, which you'd enjoy more by discovering them, and I implore you to stay away from an FAQ unless you're completely stuck. Anyway, try everything, even if it makes no sense, because, come on, you're feeding jelly beans to a scrotum with a face, so clearly reality has no place here. You do have a limited number of beans though, so can trap yourself if you run out. Blob doesn't move on his own, you need to summon him by whistling, and he'll then move to your location. It can occasionally be tricky to get Blob in the position you need him in, as he can't be on the same space as you, so often you get pushed out the way. I've been pushed into spikes a couple of times because of this. As well as rescuing the eponymous Blobette, there are 18 treasures to collect, none of which really do anything other than garner points. Also lying about are coins, that upon collecting 5 will give you an extra life. You start with 5 lives, and Boy is kind of fragile. Falling too far kills him, as do these little invincible worm things. Overall, the game looks alright. There's a lot of repetition in backgrounds, and everything is simply drawn, but the animations are really nice. The characters have a cartoonish charm to them, as does the music. Sadly, there's only one song, and it kind of sounds like the Indiana Jones theme, but it's well composed enough to not get too annoying. Some of the sound effects in the game override it in such a way that only half the channels of the song play, which make it sound really weird, but the effects themselves are clear. The wolf whistle really does sound like one, and the crash that these stomper things make is quite foreboding. The rescue of Princess Blobette, or to give it its full name, David Crane's A Boy and His Blob in The Rescue of Princess Blobette, is actually a delightful title, with tons of charm and tongue-in-cheek humour. It's cool that the game is a new adventure rather than just being a port of the original. If you can get past the controls, which aren't bad, merely unusual, there is a lot of fun to be had here. It feels almost like a cosmic spacehead or, dare I say it, Monkey Island. Recommended if you want a clever and humorous puzzle game that's not limited to one screen.